All right, Friday lunchtime. It's about 11:30 a.m. on Friday, August 29th, 2025. There's been a lot of activity on TikTok and a lot of heated conversations and very strong opinions about an article published in Wired at wired.com 2 days ago, authored by journalist Taylor Lorenz. Entitled "A Dark Money Group is Secretly Funding High-Profile Democratic Influencers." I'm going to go through that entire article line by line in this video. It's very clear to me that from a lot of the comments on either side on the videos that I've made about this, that people did not watch the videos that I made before leaving a comment. They had their comment ready to go. Again, regardless of which side they were on, and left their comments and then went on their way. It was also painfully obvious to me that a lot of people did not read the article, either in part or in whole. And so I'm going to go by this article. I'm going to go through this article line by line in this video. And so it's going to be a long video, but if you would like to know what's in the whole article, that's what I'm going to do in this video. And I'm going to point out a couple of criticisms that I have. And then, you know, please watch the whole video before you leave a comment. In this age of TikTok, all of our attention spans have been shot completely to hell. People leave comments before they watch more than 4 or 5 seconds of a video. And people's positions on certain issues get hardened before they have even 10% of the relevant information that they would need to actually make a decision on the issue or issues that are being discussed. And I'm going to go through the article, and then I'll talk about it a little bit on the other side. So the article starts out as follows. In a private group chat in June, dozens of Democratic political influencers discussed whether to take advantage of an enticing opportunity. They were being offered $8,000 per month to take part in a secretive program. Secretive, you could take issue with that word, at bolstering Democratic messaging on the internet. Apart from potentially that word secretive, there is nothing factually incorrect in that paragraph. A couple things that I don't think that you can reasonably ignore in this article. Taylor Lorenz got access to group chats and text messages between dozens of TikTok creators on the left. She had those documents, quoted those individuals. She had copies of the contract that was being offered by the organization Chorus to its influencers. She states in this document that she had signed copies of contracts, indicating that those were contracts that were in final form if they contained signatures. She interviewed several people for this article and quoted them directly in this article. So I don't think it's reasonable, and those documents have all been authenticated, and those quotes have all been authenticated. So I don't think it's reasonable for anybody to just say that this is nothing more than a hit piece, regardless of what side that you're on. And one of the reasons why I'm making this video is earlier today I duetted Brian Tyler Cohen's, response to this article, which I appreciated. I did a duet of that on my main account so that it would get the most reach that I could provide to his response. And I think his response provided a lot of additional context and a ton of additional information that I think is very important to have when going through something like this. And so I appreciate him making that video and having his duets on so that I could do that. And I was happy to do that. I mean, he's a main character in this article. It's unclear to me, and I'm not casting aspersions to either side here, It's unclear to me why he's not quoted in this article. I don't know whether or not Taylor Lorenz reached out to him and he did not want to respond or comment. I don't know if Taylor Lorenz did not reach out to him for comment, which would be bad. It's not entirely clear from the article which of those circumstances is the case. That having been said, paragraph 2, but the contract sent to these Democratic political influencers from Chorus, the non-profit arm of a liberal influencer marketing platform, came with some strings. Among other issues, it mandated extensive secrecy about disclosing their payments and had restrictions on what sort of political content the creators could produce. Whatever you think about Taylor Lorenz, I do not believe that any responsible journalist would write that sentence if that's not what the contract and the language of the contract actually reflected. If somebody has a copy of the contract that would refute that sentence, I would very much like to see that. In their group chat, influencers debated the details, and then she goes on to quote a bunch of people from the chat thread. The influencers in the chat collectively had at least 13 million followers across social media platforms. They represented some of the most well-known voices online posting in support of Democrats, and they're key to wherever the party moves next. But ultimately, the group didn't make much progress. And then she goes on to provide more quotes from these people, from that chat thread, from these creators. Everything that I've read so far is verifiable and factual. It comes from documents that have been verified and authenticated. There are some more quotes in here, including some quotes from Aaron Parnas. Parnas declined to comment. So let's talk about that for a moment. When it says in an article like this that so-and-so did not respond to a request for comment, that indicates to me that that person may not have received that request or may not have seen that request in time to respond before the article was printed. When I see that someone declined to comment, that indicates to me that they received that request and proactively chose not to comment, chose not to respond, or responded with, I don't have any comment. But when it says so-and-so declined to comment, that indicates that they were aware of the request and responded to it by saying, I'm not going to comment for this article. Then she goes into some history about the 2024 election. For years, Democrats have struggled to work with influencers. In 2024, Joe Biden's White House snubbed several prominent content creators after they lightly criticized the administration over its policies on climate change, COVID, Gaza, and the TikTok ban. Content creators who challenged Kamala Harris, including Hassan Piker, a well-known influencer on the left, were similarly unwelcome at campaign events. I mean, I think we all kind of saw that happen in real time. After Democrats lost in November, they faced a reckoning. It was clear that the party had failed to successfully navigate the new media landscape, while Republicans had spent decades building a powerful and robust independent media infrastructure, maximizing controversy to drive attention and maintaining tight relationships with creators. Despite their small disagreements with Trump, the Democrats have largely relied on outdated strategies in traditional media to get their message out. I think that's crystal clear from the 2024 election cycle. Now, Democrats hope that again, there's that word again, secretive. I'm not a huge fan of that word. Excuse me. Now, the Democrats hope that the secretive Chorus Creator Incubator Program, funded by a powerful liberal dark money group called the 1630 Fund, might tip the scales. The program kicked off last month, and creators involved were told by Chorus that over 90 influencers were set to take part. That's consistent with what Brian Tyler Cohen said in his response. Creators, okay, so here we go, where she's, the author is speaking with creators who were a part of this, and they are giving her some feedback directly from them. Creators told Wired that the contract stipulated they'd be kicked out and essentially cut off financially if they even so much as acknowledged that they were part of the program. Some creators also raised concerns about a slew of restrictive clauses in the contract. She's quoting them. Influencers included in communication about the program, and in some cases, an onboarding session, that's a Zoom call, for those receiving payments from the 1630 fund included, and then she listed out the names of the folks who were involved. And again, 2 of these people declined to comment. The rest did not respond to requests for comments. There's a difference there. Please be aware of that there's a difference there. According to copies of the contract viewed by Wired that creators signed, she had the documents, the influencers were not allowed to disclose their relationship with Chorus or the 1630 fund, or functionally that they're being paid at all. Again, if somebody has a copy of the contract that contradicts this, they should show that. Dozens of liberal influencers are believed to have been approached by Chorus about the 1630 fund financing opportunity this past spring. They were told that Chorus appreciated the work that they were doing online and were asked if they would be interested in being a part of the first cohort of a new program that Chorus was running to help, quote, expand their reach and impact, close quote, creators told Wired. Again, that's consistent with what Brian Tyler Cohen said in his video. But following the initial outreach, many creators expressed concern about some stipulations. According to copies of the contract viewed by Wired, creators in the program must funnel all bookings with lawmakers and political leaders through Chorus. That's inconsistent with what Brian said this morning. Creators also have to loop Chorus in on any independently organized engagements with government officials or political leaders. One creator who asked not to be named, if I want to work with another politician, I have to fully corroborate with them, meaning Chorus, said one creator who was offered the contract but ultimately declined to take it and asked not to be named. Quote, if I get Zoran Mamdani and he wants to do an interview with me, I don't want to give it to them, meaning Chorus. Again, she's quoting someone who was offered this contract. Creators in the program are not allowed to use any funds or resources that they receive as part of the program to make content that supports or opposes any political candidate or campaign without express authorization from Chorus in advance and in writing per the contract. That's in writing. The contracts viewed by Wired prohibit standard partnership disclosures, declaring that creators, quote, will not publicize, close quote, their relationship with Chorus or tell others that they're members of the program, quote, without Chorus's prior express or consent, close quote, quoting the contract. They also forbid creators from, quote, disclosing the identity of any funder, close quote, and give Chorus the ability to force creators to remove or correct content based solely on the organization's discretion if that content was made at a Chorus organized event. That's an important qualifier at the end of that sentence. Okay. This next paragraph quotes an attorney working with Chorus speaking to creators on a Zoom call that was recorded and reviewed by Wired. There are some real advantages to housing this program in a nonprofit. The attorney's name is Graham Wilson. It gives us the ability to raise money from donors. It also, with this structure, it avoids a lot of the public disclosure or public disclaimers, you know, paid for by blah, 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 that you see on political ads. We don't need to deal with any of that. Your names are not going to show up on like reports filed with the FEC. Attorney Wilson did not respond to a request for comment. The Federal Election Commission declined to comment. The goal of Chorus, according to a fundraising deck obtained by Wired, is to, quote, build new infrastructure to fund independent progressive voices at scale, close quote. The creators who joined the incubator are expected to attend regular advocacy trainings and daily messaging check-ins. Those messaging check-ins are led by Brian Tyler Cohen on, quote, rapid response days, close quote. The creators also have to attend at least 2 Chorus, quote, newsroom events per month, which are events Chorus plans, often with lawmakers. Elizabeth Dubois, an assistant professor and university research chair in politics, communication, and technology at the University of Ottawa, who has researched the ways influencers are reshaping the U.S. political system, says that, quote, we are seeing influencers being pulled into these dark campaigns or shadow campaigns where the legal aspect is murky at best, close quote. The author is quoting a college professor who works in this area. Continuing, quote, sometimes it's actually clear that influencers are being used to, for example, evade spending limits. I think that we need to remember that for democracy to thrive, we do need transparency around who is paying for political messages. That's the main point that I was making in my videos yesterday. That's the main point. We do need transparency around who is paying for political messages. Don Hyder, the chief executive of Markula Center for Applied Ethics at Santa Clara University, says the outlined restrictions violate ethical norms. Quote, if the contract for getting money from a particular interest group says that you can't disclose it, then it's pretty simple. You can't take the money. We're living in an era where a lot of powerful people have basically taken the rule book and thrown it out the window. Keith Edwards, a Democratic content creator who has skyrocketed to fame on YouTube since starting his channel last year, was not invited to be a part of the program, but believes that the way it was structured seemed, quote, predatory. He says that he would never agree to take part in a program that was run in secret or wouldn't allow him to disclose funding. Again, that's per the terms of the contract. Quote, what I don't understand is, why wouldn't you just donate to creators directly who have already built something and just need to put gasoline on the fire? Democrats at least understand that the internet exists now, so that's good, but they still think influencers are just there to do a terrible direct-to-camera interview that no one watches, rather than treating us like another form of media, close quote. The influencers offered the funding were given just days to sign the contract, which was essentially presented on a take-it-or-leave-it basis. At least one cohort, one member, was specifically told they could not have their lawyers redline the contract. In the group chat formed to discuss contract negotiations, some creators discussed a clause prohibiting the disparagement of other creators. Not being able to criticize anyone else affiliated with Chorus felt restrictive to some, according to text messages posted to that chat. Quoting, eventually the creators in the group chat agreed to drop the issues they had, and then there's some more quotes from the creators. Then she goes into some history of the 1630 Fund. It has emerged as a powerful funder in democratic spaces in recent years. It's supported by the issues supported by the organization include economic equity, affordable health care, climate solutions, racial justice, voter access, and other, quote, essential social change goals, close quote. The organization was founded in 2009. In 2018, the fund provided $141 million to more than 100 left-leaning causes in order to bolster Democratic support during the midterms. That's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic, according to tax filings. In 2022, the fund spent $196 million backing state ballot measures on abortion rights. Heading into the midterms, also absolutely fantastic. 4 donors accounted for close to 2/3 of the fund's revenue in 2023. The largest those 4 donors donated the following amounts: $50.5 million, $31.4 million, $21.8 million, and $13.6 million. Quote, the 1630 Fund, which is not required to disclose its contributors, has for years been a major funding source for liberal and progressive causes and groups, including those that spend in elections, close quote, says Walker Davis, a research director for the open government group Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. CREW. We've all heard of CREW. Quote, though their recent tax returns indicate that they have pulled back from some of the eye-popping sums raised and spent in 2020, the organization is still one of the top spending politically oriented nonprofits in the country. Chorus, which is described in contracts reviewed by Wired as the, quote, project of, close quote, the 1630 Fund that handles operations for the Creator Program, launched in November 2024 as a nonprofit arm of Good Influence, a for-profit influencer marketing agency armed at helping creators connect with social good campaigns. Good Influence was founded in October 2020 by Stuart Perlmutter, the former communications director for Representative John Yarmuth of Kentucky. Again, all of this stuff that I'm reading is factual. Seeing an opportunity after Kamala Harris's loss last November, Perlmutter co-founded Chorus with Democratic influencer Brian Tyler Cohen, who has over 4.6 million subscribers on YouTube and leads messaging check-ins for the creator cohort on, quote, rapid response days. According to records reviewed by Wired, Chorus claims that its initial creator cohort has a collective audience of more than 40 million followers with more than 100 weekly viewers, and that the organization has, quote, hundreds of creators signed up, ready to amplify messaging. Quoting, I've spent my career researching right-wing media and sounding the alarms about the collapse of our old information environment, says Ellie Langford, the director of programming at Chorus. She said this on a Zoom call with dozens of creators in June. Continuing quoting, our political systems haven't been able to figure out a real solution, and I've been really excited to see you all treading the path forward. I deeply, deeply believe that the work you all are doing is what's going to make the difference in supporting and frankly resuscitating our democracy. I agree with every word of that. Already, creators I'm not quoting her any further, that's a close quote. Next paragraph. Already, creators in the program are creating content together in a new weekly series titled Good News in Politics. 6 creators in the program shared a collaborative video running through political wins, and then it includes, you can follow those six creators here. Next paragraph. While some creators have been eager to work with Chorus, others distrust the organization. This spring, Chorus faced a wave of backlash from prominent content creators whose images were included in the firm's fundraising decks without their permission. I'm going to quote from V, from Under the Desk News. I was included in some of Chorus's decks, like, we have access to V when you do not, they said. V is a liberal content creator with over 3.5 million followers on TikTok. We all know V. The faces of several well-known influencers were featured prominently on the Chorus website beneath a giant donate button. However, users who clicked the button were taken to a fundraising page for Chorus instead of anywhere their dollars would go directly to the creators featured. Well, I don't think that's entirely unexpected. You're on Chorus's website. If there's a donate button, I would expect that would be to donate to Chorus. That feels kind of nitpicky to me. Progressive YouTuber and former Media Matters staffer Kat Abou-Ghazaleh, who's running for Congress in Illinois, was pictured on Chorus's website and included in fundraising decks without her consent. She asked that her image and name be removed, and no longer used for fundraising purposes. V and other content creators have accused Chorus of attempting to establish themselves as a gatekeeper to Democratic political leaders. Quoting V, "What we need is for people to invest in independent media, and that doesn't necessarily mean investing in a consulting group that is going to become a middleman for independent media," meaning between independent media and elected Democrats. Several influencers who have doggedly defended Chorus throughout that controversy, including Elizabeth Booker Houston, a Democratic comedian and content creator on Instagram, and Ali O'Brien, a progressive creator with more than 600,000 followers on TikTok, were involved in membership talks for the highest paid tier in Chorus's new incubator program. Houston did not respond to requests for comment, and Ali O'Brien declined to comment. And I should let you guys know that Ali O'Brien and I are mutuals, and she has reached out to me to have a conversation about this. Still, some creators heard about the 630 Fund and Chorus funding initiative and applied to join. One creator named Chesco, who goes by the Speech Prof online, I follow him, he's great. He applied to join the program because he viewed it as, quote, "an opportunity to get access to people that have funding or backing and actual research that I could use," close quote, he says. Ultimately, he was not accepted and received an email on June 26th rejecting his application. Quote, "We are planning to bring more creators into the incubator program in the near future," close quote, Chorus wrote. So there's no reason given. It doesn't imply any malevolence or anything. They may have just been full. The first round that they did was their first round, so I wouldn't read anything negative into that. The structure of the program highlights the vast differences between how Democrats and Republicans attempt to amass online influence. Boy, ain't that the truth. Republicans have spent decades building up a powerful independent media ecosystem through the right-wing influencer world, but that is far from transparent, also incredibly accurate. In September 2024, a federal indictment alleged that the Russian state-sponsored network RT was covertly providing millions in funding to Tenet Media, a company working with major right-wing influencers, including Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, who's bald, and Dave Rubin and Lauren Southern. In 2024, the National Republican Congressional Committee spent nearly $500,000 on work with Creator Grid, an influencer marketing company whose website says it, quote, "connects Republican candidates with the internet's most powerful conservative influencers," close quote, according to analysis of campaign finance filings from the Washington Post. Stephen Buckley, a digital media sociologist at City St. George's University of London, says these sorts of programs have been, quote, "happening in the right wing for ages," close quote. But Heider said that the structure of the 1630 Fund deal raises the question, quote, "is it ethical to match the tactics of your opponents," close quote. Again, another huge point that I was making in my videos yesterday. Last paragraph. The Democrats appear to have no real counter to this system. Quote, "Democrats missed the next generation of media," says Brendan Gahan, co-founder of influencer marketer agency Creator Authority. Quote, "Historically, they owned Hollywood, but this next generation of influence is digital, and they've miscalculated that. I don't think they feel comfortable in arenas where they lack control." And that's the end of the article. And so several points that I want to make. Again, what I said at the beginning, the people who've been coming at me and tearing me to shreds did not read this article. This article is not nearly as incendiary or divisive or Taylor Lorenz wants to destroy the left, as so many people have been saying in my comments. I would invite anyone to point specifically to me what is factually incorrect in this article. She quotes from people. She quotes from creators in text threads. She quotes from creators in chat threads. She quotes from signed contracts between Chorus and creators that are a part of this program. She quotes from creators who were accepted. She quotes from creators who were rejected and who were not invited. And she gives history about the 1630 Fund. She gives history about how the right wing does this with the Russian influence campaign. And she gives influence about the differences between the right wing and the left wing in digital new media spaces and how far behind the left wing is in those spaces, all of which I think is accurate. So again, I think the people that are the angriest about this article didn't read it. And I think an equal number of people are reading things into this article that simply aren't there. And I also want to say that I understand as much as I can that a huge amount of that is coming from fear and trauma. We are all existing on a daily basis, 24/7, with fear and trauma. The United States of America in August of 2025, for the first time in our nation's history, has an authoritarian government that is rapidly accumulating and consolidating power on its way to a dictatorship. We have the U.S. military on the streets of American cities with weapons that are intended to be used against American citizens who disagree with this administration. This administration is ignoring court orders. They are destroying the entire federal safety net. They are destroying the entire federal healthcare structure. They're destroying the executive branch of the federal government in ways that are going to absolutely decimate the bottom 90% of this country economically and health-wise. We are living through ongoing trauma on a daily basis, 24/7, and we have been for almost the last year. We are all, well, I shouldn't say all, I've been paralyzed by fear and anxiety. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to prepare for what's coming. And I did videos on this on Monday. I don't know how far these guys are going to go. I don't know who's in danger and who's not in this country. I'm getting a better idea every day. But, you know, this article was not meant to divide or tear apart the left. It just wasn't. There's no way that you can read this article objectively and come to that conclusion. But, again, I will reiterate, I very much appreciate the response video that I saw earlier today from Brian Tyler Cohen, providing a lot of extra information, which seems to contradict some of the documents that are listed in this article. So I look forward to some further clarification on that. And I appreciate his response to the article, and that's why I did a duet of that video on my main page instead of on my backup page. Because I wanted to get that out to as many people as had seen my other videos. I felt that was only fair. Again, there is no indication, and I want to be clear on this too. I saw no indication in that article that Taylor Lorenz had specifically reached out to Brian Tyler Cohen for comment. It didn't say in there that he didn't respond to requests for comment. It didn't say in that article that he declined to comment. There's no indication that she reached out to him for comment. And if she didn't do that, I think that's pretty egregious on her part. But again, it's just like, and I get it, we're all coming from fear and trauma. You know, we don't know what these fuckers are going to do to this country or to us. And I know that it's incredibly hard to, you know, exercise things like calm, rational reading and listening comprehension in that environment. It's damn near impossible. But we have to try. So that's the reason why I made this video. That's the entire article. I went through the entire article. If people can point specifically to me what's factually wrong in that article, I am all ears. Thank you. It's a quarter after 12 West Coast time on Friday, August 29th. The weekend is here. Please, everyone, be safe. Please, everyone, be safe. They're ratcheting shit up. Please be safe. Have a good weekend.